Hey, welcome back. So every single week since we started the show, on Wednesday we do a theme show. It's we call it Woman Wednesday, and that is not to say we don't have women on other days. And our show's loaded with brilliant, intelligent, insightful, thoughtful women of all sizes, shapes, colors, and political likings. But on Wednesday, we try to highlight that perspective just a little more by really concentrating the show's thoughts on that. Someone who's been with me from the beginning and always provides the intellect and insightful thought you want is model, actress, and mentor Xen Sams. She's a super mom. And, she's a Hollywood actress. Her husband's a big time producer, and they're in that Coolio elite crowd. But Zen calls it like she sees it. And she's with us today talking about what the Yaleys and the Harvardites are doing to Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley. Hey, Zen.
Hey, John, how are you? What a disaster in the media. And the world, it feels like we went to sleep one night and woke up, and now we're puppets, and people are just programming us, and the censorship has gone way too far. I'm furious.
Zen, it seems like there was Elise Stefanik, a Republican congresswoman from New York. She was the only Trump supporter on the Harvard Political Council or something like that, Alumni Council. And they demanded her resignation from that. So are Harvard and Yale, much like the social media companies, just becoming tone deaf and they only just want to hear their point of view?
I feel very embarrassed for these Ivy League schools. I mean, to have thousands of Yale and Harvard law students and alumni petition for Cruz and Hawley to be disbarred, and that petition, just 2 days after being posted, John, to social media, has amassed more than 6,000 signatures. I mean, the petition was started by 7 third-year law students and now has grown to this big media thing. And the senators are basically being described as being fundamentally unfit for membership in the legal profession. I feel this is going a bit too far. And what these students are basically calling for is the disbarment of these senators, Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz, over their alleged, and remember the word is alleged, roles in undermining the peaceful transition over power. But they've been accused of using inflammatory rhetoric to basically rile up the pro-Trump mob, which subsequently engaged in the acts of insurrection at the Capitol. But the question, John, is this going too far? Mr. Cruz is a graduate of Harvard Law School and Mr. Hawley is a graduate from Yale. But to take it to this level and to now call for the disbarment, and they're even going after Giuliani because Rudy Giuliani was there kind of, getting the crowd riled up that day when the riots happened on Capitol Hill. But I feel like this is just a complete overtake of the right from the left. And it's very strategic, and it's almost happening systematically, beginning with Joe Biden, and it's scary.
Zen, I know it sounds like a big thing, it's got over 6,000 signatures. There's 300 million people in America. About 50% of them voted in the last election. That's 150 million people that cared enough to even cast a darn vote. And 6,000 people out of all those is like 0.02%. So I'm with you. It shows their true colors around the edges. But this fringy stuff about taking away honorary degrees and Sean Hannity getting his lifetime pasta pass revoked by Olive Garden. I mean, the whole thing is getting a little too. Oh, and there goes my earpiece. Ouch.
The whole thing is getting out of control.
But maybe she can answer.
Damn. Are you okay?
That never happened before.
That's okay. So John, here's something interesting. The Democrats are arguing that he must be prevented basically from holding future office, hence this move to impeach him. But that there's precedent for pursuing impeachment after an official leaves office. And that precedent is from 1876 during the Ulysses Grant administration when War Secretary William Belknap was impeached by the House the day he resigned And then the Senate convened a trial months later, and he was basically acquitted. But that's the precedent here. And I feel like they feel he's so powerful and he has amassed such a huge following that he is now become a threat because he clearly has the ability to get people so riled up that Capitol Hill happened. And I think that from one perspective, censorship should never happen, especially here and for everything that we've worked for. But on the other side, you have a president who basically has this much control over a certain amount of rioters that does pose a threat to our peace. And I think that that's where people are coming from. But I think it's gone out of hand. I think, this is becoming a little bit, you have all these companies planning to cut ties with the Trump business. You have many of them. Have you heard about any of this, John?
No, yeah. I mean, I heard about BlackRock. I heard about Aetna. I heard New York City is trying to cancel their contracts with Trump to operate a couple of ice skating rinks and a couple of golf courses. It's crazy, Xen. It's absolutely bizarre what's happening. The PGA has dropped 2 events at Trump courses.
Correct. So Deutsche Bank is going to cease to do any kind of business with him, but he owes them $300 million. So the multinational bank,
I like it.
He's not going anywhere, right? Deutsche Bank, he owes them a lot of money, so they better stay connected to him. Signature Bank also cut ties with the Trump administration. And then you also have Stripe, the card processing system, they cut ties. Shopify, the Canadian e-commerce company, also took down all their own online stores that it managed and sold that were selling the Trump merchandise. So that's done. And like you said, New York City exploring legal options to terminate all of the businesses with Trump, and he has contracts to run the Carousel, Bryant Park ice skating ring. So those contracts have been put on hold. And then you also have Salesforce, which is a cloud-based software company headquartered in San Francisco, and they provide much of the infrastructure behind Trump and the Republican National Committee's ability to send emails to basically millions of its followers. They're cutting ties. And Stripe, which is a private company that lets businesses process payments online, they're seizing ties with all of Trump and his administration. So it's not looking good for the Trump camp. It's not looking good at all.
It sure isn't, my friend. And, I've been scouring through different legal cases over the years. And there's a case from like the 1940s that's really apropos, I think, right now, where a big oil company owned a whole town. They built a town for all their employees and everything. And then some people were handing out religious literature in the street, and they said because they owned the sidewalk, they couldn't have religious freedom there. And the court held that if you open up your streets for the public to use, then you lose domain as a private owner because it's for the public use. So I think that might apply to what's happening because, it seems like Twitter and Facebook and others have built these virtual communities, and now they're saying, well, these sidewalks here are now a virtual community where you can go out there and talk about whatever you want, and we're not held liable for it, so it's just a forum. And now they're claiming dominion over it to squelch free speech. The Supreme Court of this land has already ruled that don't fly. So there may be something out there still.
Absolutely. And, John, this speaks into the bigger picture. Now you have Parler's CEO, and their services have been dropped by every single vendor, everybody that you can imagine. And this basically has put them out of business. And like earlier this morning, you have leaders of Germany, France, Mexico, Britain, the European Union, Poland, Hungary, Australia, Russia, Norway. I can go on. And they've all come out and condemned the censorship of the president and many others. Ironically, in their bloodthirsty attempt to silence free speech, these powerful companies may have sealed their own fate. At the same time, their actions may have had the opposite effect. Zealous hatred can sometimes cause one to really overplay their cards. And that's what's happening right now. But the CEO of Parler, John Matt, said that his social media company has been destroyed by Amazon, Apple, and Google all extended their agreements with the social media service. And they basically said, we're no longer doing business with you. Your platform, your free speech platform has contributed to hatred. And somehow they are tying the Parler content to the riots in Capitol Hill. And right now, they're falsely claiming that they're somehow responsible for the events that occurred on the 6th. And Parler's been shut down. So this is not a joke. This is going to the next level. It makes me afraid because it just feels like the carpet is being pulled up from underneath my feet, from my rights of free speech, from my ability to be able to choose if I want to wear a mask, to having the proper ideas of what election voter fraud truly are, and having our voices censored across the platform. To really, it's made me realize a lot. But more importantly, it's funny how every single embargo that Trump had put on China has been miraculously lifted somehow now, and that as of Thursday, China is allowing the WHO investigators to start to go in and truly see what happened. But suddenly they're allowing, the WHO organization to go and investigate now that Biden is taking over. Before, China said, no, I'm sorry, you can't come in here and investigate. So something fishy is going on, and I smell something rotting.
I can't disagree with you, my friend. Never a rotten time when you're with us on Wednesday. Thank you. It's so much nicer when you're here. I hope next week or something you'll come back. Maybe
I'll pop in this Friday. Maybe I'll come say hi.
I would love it. I mean, that would be the greatest thing ever. I mean, a lot of people liked it when you were here. We haven't had a lot of interhuman interactions in the studio for like the last 9 months. So I think people just like seeing two humans live at the same place. I'm sick of the Zooms myself, but...
Well, you know what? Fauci did say that he's optimistic for fall theaters and music venues to reopen. So we will start to see some of that human contact, because I participated, and I know we're out of time, but I participated in a virtual meeting on Saturday in where Fauci was addressing our industry. And he specifically said that as of the fall, he plans to, allow Broadway reopening its stages by the late summer or early fall after the vaccine has rolled out. He hopes, and he is very optimistic for theater and music venues to reopen. So that kind of gave our industry a little bit of, our hopes were up for a minute there. I don't know what will happen, but we can expect to continue wearing masks for the immediate future, even if we do reopen and these venues start to get back to some level of normalcy. There's also going to be a test that you have to show. So not everything is going back to normal.
Typically, when the guest says, I know we're out of time, that's when they stop talking, but you make sure to get in the final point.
Somebody just asked me about it on Facebook. They said, tell me when we're going back to theater.
All right, Xen Sams, you're the best. Hopefully I'll see you Friday.
Bye, my love. Take care. Have a great day. Good show.